Good afternoon, Winnipeg, and to everybody watching right now. We're about to jump into this panel, but I want to acknowledge the people that are actually here in the room. Let's say hello. If you could give me your name quickly, that would be awesome. So I'm Rookz.
I'm James.
Hey, Jade, what up? I haven't seen it. I didn't know you're here. What's going on? Hello, welcome. What's your name quickly as you jump in? Kyle. Okay, cool. So my name's Rookz. I was asked to moderate this panel. I'm actually wish I was on that side sitting with you guys so that I'd have the opportunity to learn. There are some really phenomenal people on this panel right now that I'm excited to learn from right now. A little bit about me. I'm from Toronto. This is my third time here in the Peg, so I feel like an honorary Pegger. See what I did there? Anyways, so happy to be here with you guys. Shout out Elise and Sean for having me. I really love coming to Winnipeg because there's just such a strong music culture here, and the talent is incredible. And so, bridging talent with the understanding of the industry is always the best way to make it happen. And before we even get started, I want to remind everyone it's not where you're at that makes it happen. It's how committed you are. Yeah, we saw your phone drop. We're all looking at you. Okay, cool. All right, so this is the International Digital Strategies panel. Music has changed so much. The industry has changed so much. It's even weird sometimes to call it the digital space in the music. It's just the music industry. The music industry is just digital now. Social media is not social media. It's media now, and we're really moving into that space. I think more and more as the years go by, just recognizes that these spaces that were so new to us and really revolutionized our industry are just becoming the new normative for us to work in. And so the digital strategy is a huge component, and I think a big part of everybody's strategy on this panel, whether you're from a label or a management perspective, or you throw a festival or an event. Understanding how you're going to engage digitally is super imperative to your success. So with that being said, I hope you guys are all on Twitter right now. You can follow Manitoba Music at Manitoba Music. No? Yeah? Yeah, okay. Follow at Manitoba Music if you want to be a part of the conversation. Make sure you hit them up on Facebook and follow everything that they got going on. All right, shameless plug at Rookz, ROOKZ. Okay. So to my left here, I'm going to kind of have everybody, because there's some really phenomenal people here, and their bios are really long. So I'm going to say their names and a little bit about what I know about them. And if you could just speak briefly to, your contribution to the music industry and what you're up to, that would be amazing. So to my left, we have Rachel Jackson, who's the director of A&R at Roc Nation. And we're actually buddied up through a program in Toronto. It's the Atlanta-Toronto Music Executive Exchange. So I've been going to Atlanta a lot, and she's been coming to Canada a lot. And I don't even think I really knew what an A&R was until I met you. I was just like, oh, A&Rs, they go to clubs, they have drinks, they sign people. Like, you get a deal. So way more than that. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I am director of A&R at Roc Nation Label. And I am the person that works with a team of people that identifies new talent. I also straddle the fence between the publishing company and the A&R department at the label. So I make sure that we are at the forefront or on the cusp of making sure that we're supporting and investing in talent, such as writers and producers, rather than just, artists. So I get to kind of run the full gamut. So if you're a writer, a producer, or an artist, I am in a position to take notice, take interest in you, and then possibly invest in you, bring you to the label, and then either develop you or just continue your stride as a creative.
Thank you. So I want to introduce everyone first, and then we can go into the 10 minutes. Yeah? Because it would just be weird to talk to her, and those ones are sitting over there like, when's my turn? Okay, cool. So next up, we have Gabriela. And when I was reading your bio, I was super excited because I'm really to the music industry development. And you've done a huge part as the director of the Glamrock agency, but you're also one of the person who brought the Grammy education to the Latino music scene. So if you could speak a little bit more about what you're doing in Mexico City, that'd be dope.
Okay, I'm the director of Glamrock agency. It's a company that I founded in 1999. I've been working from Argentina to Latin America with Latin artists, mainly alternative Latin And then I moved to Mexico City in 2012, and we are basically developing new artists. That is the part that I love the most. I've been working with touring management and a lot of, I think I've been in all the specs of music industry since record labels. I was working with the creation of the Latin Grammy for 5 years. Before, it was like a huge work trying to get all the countries set in the same way of thinking. The part that I like to work the most is to recognize new talents and work since the beginning to try to develop as the most we can in all Latin America. So that it's what we like to do in our work.
So you're like a politician as well, bringing the nations together. I love it. I'll vote for you. You got my vote. Okay. Next up, we have Jock here, all the way from the UK. Yeah, we're repping the UK. Is the director of Arctangent, which is a festival that's based out of there. But what I found was really interesting is that you're the vice chair of the Association of Independent Festivals. Now, I just worked for the first time on my first festival ever, and I have like 1/8 the hair left. So the fact that you still have so much hair lets me know you're so good at your job, okay, because I'm bald.
I'm hiding a bald patch under my hat.
You're hiding it, that's what got you. Listen, that's what the hat's for too, girl. But yeah, no, festivals are such a big part of the music industry right now, especially for artists to be able to actually generate revenue and get to a bigger market. So if you could speak a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. So founder and director of Arctangent Festival, which is a 10,000 capacity festival in Bristol, so southwest of the UK. This year was our 7th year. Last year we won Best Small Festival in the UK Festival Awards. And considering I started out just throwing parties as a kid and never grew out of it, it's quite a nice achievement to have under this hat. The Association of Independent Festivals, so we look after around, it varies between 60 to 100 independent festivals across the UK and some into Europe. And collectively, we have a bigger voice than we would do as one independent festival. So we'll fight things like the PRS, or Performing Rights Society tariff, to make sure that you're only paying a sensible percentage fee. We did a big campaign about eradicating single-use plastic from festival sites. We've had issues with the police that we've collectively fought. So we're just a big organisation that tries to push forward the UK festival industry from the independent sector. And I'm hugely passionate about it. And then on top of that, I run a company called Ubiqu Live, which is an event and music management consultancy event and music management and consultancy business, which has been running, it'll be for 3 years come January. So I'm still sort of figuring out exactly the route I want to take it down, letting it sort of run its own course for now, but I'm managing 3 artists across the UK, one in Italy I'm in conversation with, one from Vancouver that I'm in conversation with. I do lots of public speaking. This is my 2nd time in Winnipeg, so it's good to be back. For those of you who think it's cold, you should have been here in February. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you. I was going to ask you if you're an honorary pegger, but we won't go there. Okay, we'll leave that. All right, so Simeon's up next, all the way from the Netherlands. You say it better. I say it wrong. No,
you're right.
Okay, I'm right? Oh,
yeah.
Finally, one time in my life. Okay, so you're with Treetop Agency, and you are one of the reasons why I think a lot of people in the music industry don't get booked when you're artists. Who's an artist in the room? Yeah. A lot of people look for music industry people or festival bookers, but it seems so obvious they don't look for booking agents or booking companies that actually focus on doing this job 24/7. And that's what you do at Treetop Agency. You're booking a lot of spaces in Europe, but 14 artists on your roster that are busy in several countries. Tell us a little bit about how you founded that and how it really became your passion.
So do you have those like music management studies here? There's like in uni, you do a course, like I did one called Arts and Economics, and I soon found out that like all my teachers were people who almost made it in the industry and therefore became teachers. So in my second year, I decided, well, I might as well spend my time well, and I started my own booking agency because, yeah, I really like the live side of things, and I started like booking one local band. You know how it goes, you take the easy route. And we did like a pub crawl for a year. I felt like I was working, but it was not getting us anywhere. It was good fun. And then, yeah, I got the chance, like, because of being a fanboy and bluffing my way through it, I got the chance to book one artist from New Zealand, and we did the first tour, and we ended up doing 6 shows in the Netherlands, selling 5 out, and then the management said, well, I'd like to continue working with you, like, but also on some of my other artists, but you need to start a company then, because I can't really do it like this. It doesn't look right.
We're not texting you anymore.
Yeah, so I did that, and from then on, what I did was I mainly focused on finding international artists that I really liked, and like seeing, oh, they're touring UK, they're touring Germany, but they're skipping the Netherlands. So here I am. I can do like 2 or 3 shows in your tour. And from that, it grew and grew, and I've got close to 40 artists I work with from 15 different countries. As a full-time agent, just doing whatever I love as a lone wolf. And yeah, we do all these side projects. We have our own festival. I'm organizing a writing camp to get all those people from across the world together to produce together, and yeah, really do it all for art's sake and be poor but have fun.
Say it again one more time. Be poor.
Be poor but
But
have fun.
That's a T-shirt.
Yeah.
For everybody at home. You gotta trademark that. That's like all of our lives right now. All of our lives.
Yeah, be smart with your merch. Trademark that shit.
Last but not least, we have Augustin, who is a booker from the southwest of France. And I saw So Far Sounds in your bio.
Yeah.
And I love. Does anybody ever seen Listen, So Far is so cool.
Yeah, such a beautiful experience.
Such an amazing
As a
experience.
public, as organizer, every time, every show I organize, I'm like, okay, that's so cool.
So you love tell us where you're organizing it.
Yeah. So I'm founder in southwest of France from Toulouse, in southwest for So Far Sounds. I'm also a booker for Mélodyn Productions in there, and I manage artists from local, from Toulouse, in pop, lots of genres. How can I say? So Far Sounds, it's like a hobby. It's like a passion. It's just made me like feel what I do music, why I work for music, why I just work with artists to find just tour or just strategy to know how we can do to know you better for the public wants and like your music. That's a really good way to understand public, to know. It's, how can I say? It's really difficult to for an artist to know what music industry is, because you only write songs and compose music. So it's what you feel, what you need, and you want to the public understand you. But in music industry, it's more than that. It's like, and more today, it's about likes, it's about views, it's all about numbers, and you have to know how these numbers can help you with your music and to touch the public who likes you, who understand you.
And that's the perfect segue into our conversation here. You have so much passion. I feel like I need to step it up now. Say things. You said numbers with disgust. I love it. You're like, the numbers. It's about the music. It's not about the numbers. Okay?
Yeah,
okay.
it is.
Unfortunately now. So because whenever I do a panel, I really want it to be as informative as possible. Like the takeaways are super important, and that's one of the biggest pieces I love about Manitoba music and what you guys have going on over here. Is actually it's really informative, always for me as well. So this is gonna be less of a panel about like this is how I got so great. This is why because I am great. I could tell you guys, but we don't have enough time for that. Okay, but I really want you all to just think about your answers in the way that would somebody at home taking notes right now, they could actually apply that information. So I've learned from traveling around that every territory is different. So often when we think about the music industry, we just kind of glump it all together. But every single territory is different. The way the UK deals with stuff is different from the way that, you know, Latin America does, which is different from America, which is different from Canada. So from each of your perspectives, if you could really quickly tell us what are your top digital and social media platforms that artists in your country use to engage fans, promote music, and shows. And if you've heard somebody say it already, skip it and go to your second or third, just so that people can get as many resources as possible. So we're gonna go down the line.
Okay, so the newest, most interesting app that's really, really popping in America is called Triller. So it's an app where artists are uploading their songs and making their songs available for influencers and a lot of different teens to just kind of make funny, you know, dub videos over. So it could be a skit or just like a short 30-second video, and they're taking it and they're doing something really crazy. It'll go viral, and then from there, it'll move over to Instagram. So between, and of course, we're all familiar with Instagram. If we're not, maybe we might want to get familiar right now. But between Triller and Instagram, that's, you know, what I make sure that I'm paying attention to, because if I don't know what's going on Triller, I'm missing what could happen on Instagram. And as an A&R, you have to be, you know, a clairvoyant. You have to see the future of sorts. So those are my two.
Sorry. Okay. Are we allowed to take questions immediately? Oh, Triller?
Oh, yeah. Triller. And Instagram is INS. I'm just kidding.
No, but you've seen Triller. It's where all the kids are like, you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay, I probably looked crazy online. It's just like TikTok, yeah. But Triller is pretty popular. No? You know? Well, we're gonna make you and I can collaborate on a business and go ahead. So what are your top two?
I live in Mexico City, so the main platform is Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify. And there is a new, well, it's not new, but there is a new for you. It's Claro Música, that it's very, belongs to the Telcel, that it's the main company of mobile and telephone, so all around Latin America. So when you upload your music there, when you buy a phone in Latin America with this company that is the biggest one, it comes with the free subscription to this Claro Música. And they also have a TV channel. So all the artists are now focusing in that, because it is another way to, and they pay very well. So better than other platforms, or so everybody's like working a lot with Claro Música in Latin America or also in Mexico. Spotify is the number one, of course. But that is the way that everybody.
Dope. That's actually really cool too. If you're paying attention, you just want to even get into that market. Check it out. How do you spell it? Yeah, I was like, how do you spell it myself? CLA.
CLARO.
RO. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
So not a new platform, but increasingly we're seeing people in the UK just use Instagram stories as the main way to connect. So the posts are now increasingly getting decreased number of likes. So a lot of self-managed artists or independent artists that haven't yet worked out how to get their music up on Instagram library, so they can't put their own music over their stories. So work out how to do that. If you're using someone like CD Baby, it's as simple as just making sure your permissions are ticked, so that when you're putting a post about a forthcoming show, you have your music assigned to that story, because you don't want to be using somebody else's music promoting yourself. So there's a lot of artists that are now learning to do that, albeit a little bit behind the times, but I think that's really key. It's a really simple thing that everybody should be doing. So not a new platform, not a new trick, but it's amazing the number of people that aren't doing it.
So I'm going to ask you for another one, because if you're Canadian, Instagram doesn't let us use Instagram music. So we don't have that function here in Canada.
No way.
Yeah, it's not available for us. So if you could give me another one, that would be awesome. For us Canadians, deprived of Instagram opportunities in the music market.
So this is something that's been around for a fairly long time, and it's not really a social media platform, but Bandcamp is used a huge amount by independent artists to perhaps put music out first before they want to launch on Spotify. So their first EPs or their first singles might go out through Bandcamp, communicate about all their shows, sell all their merch, use it almost like their website. And then when they're ready to launch their first album and want to be seen as or they re-record an EP, say, and they want it out on Spotify for the first time, then they'll put it out there. So it's almost like a precursor to that, like live or that streaming platform.
A precursor that actually makes you money. So get on Bandcamp
exactly.
if you're not on Bandcamp.
Yeah, Bandcamp just started worldwide physical distribution as well, so you can do all your physical merch through it as well, which is great. But yeah, in the Netherlands, we're a tiny patch of land we dare to call a country, so we're not really unique. We use all the cliches, but what I find really interesting, what I've been enjoying recently, is that, Jiffy does artist accounts now, so you can get your artwork up and make, when you go on Insta stories, it's not just sending out what you have, but making sure people can actually use your artwork. And I've got unknown artists by smart tagging through Jiffy, their artwork's been used over 3 million times worldwide.
I've never heard of Jiffy. So
It's a tool where you can upload GIFs, GIFs.
Okay, Jiffy. Okay.
So you can design them yourself, and then with smart tagging, people are led to your artwork, and you can, when they post at your shows or whatever, they can actually make your artwork fly through the screen.
Okay.
And what I find really interesting now, what I'm working on with my 3 management artists I have, is also making social media strategies where you think of this one concept which you can use widely across several media platforms. So, for example, I manage a punk band in the Netherlands called Bony Macaroni, and the front man is a hardcore vegan. So what we did now is we created a little cookbook with vegan macaroni recipes, and it's a physical thing you can get, but there's QR codes in there that go to a blog where you actually get the recipes and a cooking show. Where in the cooking show, and all the videos are private and we launch them separately, but they're if you get the physical copy, you can access all of them, and then their music is in the background of that, and then we use snippets on the Insta stories, and then that leads through Facebook and Spotify, and we try to combine everything in one concept that's not necessarily about music, but just what the guys are thinking about in their daily life, and combine that with the music career just to give people a more in-depth view of what the guys are like outside of what they create as well.
Sounds like you're poor, smart, and having fun, right? Don't forget smart in there.
Yeah, lots of time, little revenue.
But no, that's an incredible way to really think about how to put all of the strategies together. And I thank you for sharing that example.
In France, we have Bandcamp too. It's the first for independent artists in digital. And in physics too, and there is a commission less than Spotify or TuneCore. I don't know if you know TuneCore or Dito Music. We also have for maybe 1 year a website called Groover, you can collaborate with media or labels or publishing, and you just have to pay €1 for showing your one track or one video clip, and you can send to the media. You can choose which aesthetic, which media, which mentors of everything else, and it's kind of a new type of things you have in France, because for now you have Facebook, you have Instagram, but it's not only about music, and that is only about music. So that's the big way for an artist who don't have really big fans or who's unknown for the national public, and in this way, you can talk with a big independent label or a big editor publishing, and that's great for that. And after that, you have only Facebook. That's Facebook, Instagram, the big for only to show what you can do for the stories, for what you do now, because it's all about right now. So you have to, in France, it's called faire monter la mayonnaise. So it's like you put something like, I can say in English, it's the white of the eggs. You do understand? Yeah. When you and so it's all about right now. And if you right now and tomorrow and after tomorrow you put stories and this, after you touch more persons,
builds momentum.
Yeah.
You look like Migos for a second. I thought you were about to rap. I was like, cook it up. I was like, say less, bro. I know that one. I got that. Raindrop. Drop. Okay. Okay. But and if I'm allowed
only
to
cooking.
Now I'm gonna be like, it's the mayonnaise. If I'm allowed to add one, when I used to be a music manager, I know oftentimes we don't like to pay to play, but I used to always go on websites that allow you to pay like $1 or $2 to submit your song or your release to bloggers, random blogs, not even like huge blogs. I think a lot of times, you know, a lot of the people in my industry would be focused on getting on like Complex or the bigger ones. I always wanted to get on as many as possible. So I would always take $200 out of our marketing budget and then throw that onto these blog websites where a lot of them they have to listen to it. So like that's what's really cool about it as well, because they have to listen to it. For like 25 cents they'll listen to it, give you a yes or no. For like 50 cents they'll listen to it and give some feedback. But I would always pay the $1 where they had to direct message me why they wouldn't post it, because it allowed me to create a relationship with people. So what also ends up happening from there is, even if that blog has only like 25 followers or 50 followers, what you have to remember is you're increasing your search engine optimization. So even if you get on 500 blogs and nobody really follows them, as soon as your name comes up or somebody starts to type your name, the validation from your name popping up really quickly on the internet really does something to the psyche of the way somebody sees an artist or sees you as a creator. So definitely something I would invest in.
Do you have any examples of sites that you
You know what? Off the top of my head, I haven't been a music manager for 7 years, but I will actually send it to Elise because it was definitely one of my favorite tools. Sorry for not.
We use
Submit Hub, cool. Yeah, there's a ton of them, and honestly, I know people don't like to pay sometimes, but you know, you get what you put in. You gotta spend big to win big. Cool. All right. So our next question is, what kind of content are music lovers engaging with the most? So this I find, and I'm glad you brought up Triller, because I find this varies across genres. And so if you could be really specific to, you know, the not to something that's general for you, but something that's really personal that you've noticed in your particular market or your space, that would be awesome.
Honestly, not to sound redundant, my building, we rely heavily on Instagram, honestly, because it tells an honest story of who the artist is, what's going viral, what they're saying, whether it's positive feedback, negative feedback, and it allows us to kind of watch from a bird's eye view as well. So it's not something you have to just have a subscription to, but you can literally watch something from a baby or from 1 view to 100 million, and you can see how it got there based on the level of interaction. So one thing that I think, just as an artist, because I know that the audience right now is predominantly artists, make sure that your interactions with fans are genuine. You know, don't buy followers, but make sure that everyone who's commenting, that you're liking their comment or commenting back, because that does say a lot about you, and that invites different audiences to your experience. And then with the new algorithms that are going all over the place, I know that Canadian Instagram is different than other places in the world, but they update their algorithms all the time based on who's liking, who's commenting, and who's interacting. And that gives your content more of an opportunity to be seen on the Explore page by other people based on who they follow, what they're following, what their likes are, and what they're entertained by.
Thank you.
Okay. In Mexico, I think the still Facebook is strong enough, despite Instagram is getting bigger, and now maybe it's the first platform. Facebook is still strong because of the, Mexico works like, there are three big cities like Mexico City, Monterrey, and Guadalajara, but there are a lot of cities where you can touring too. I work with artists that are all the year in touring in Mexico. They don't go out. You have 100 of cities. So all these small cities are mainly with Facebook, and Facebook is, you have some, you don't have to pay for, how do you say, I'm sorry, you don't have to pay like internet for Facebook, like it's free for the data. So the people there is still working with Facebook a lot. So if you are doing like Facebook lives or Instagram stories, is the best to promote something, or actually to promote your own career, like starting making these live videos once a week. There is like some of the artists has days, in the same agency. That is something that works a lot. The agency has, I don't know, 20 artists. Mm-hmm. So every day is for, okay, on Monday these two artists make live Facebook live on Tuesday, and that is how it works. So it's interesting.
I think you also hit a really important point for people who are trying to break into a more global market. A lot of places, when you do get a phone, you're allowed to use Facebook and WhatsApp. So even if you don't have cellular or you don't have data, and we often, I think sometimes, living inside of Canada or the North Americas, we forget that so many countries or so many other places like aren't always using the iPhone 12, 14,000 from the future, right? Like they're using different phones, and WhatsApp and Facebook are usually always free with your phone plan. Yeah, sounds good. Great point. Thank you. Next up.
I'm going to partly echo what Rachel said. I think authenticity is a huge thing on social media now, because most of social media is pretty antisocial. If people are seeing who you are as an artist, and they see you've had trouble with your van because you've broken down on the side of a motorway driving to a show, or that you're having to eat crap food in a service station, like it shows that you're a real person. So behind all that hard sell marketing that you have to do to sell your albums, to sell your merch, to sell your shows, you're seeing like the real person that's there. And I think as well, positioning some of your wording that goes alongside your post or in your stories, so it's very personable. It sounds like you're talking directly to that one fan that's reading that post there and then. It makes them want to comment. So it gives you that opportunity to hit on that like button, and they reply to you, you reply to them, then you're building up that relationship with your fans. So I think authenticity and accessibility is very, very key. Regardless of what content you are posting though, take the time to make sure that everything's framed properly. So design your tour schedule so it's the right dimensions for stories, and make it square for the Instagram posts and the right shape for Facebook posts, because there's nothing worse than a poster that someone's designed that's really good that's then cropped really badly because of the social media sizes. It really, really winds me up, and it's a very clear demarcation between how professional you perceive yourself to be and how other people will perceive you. So take that time. It's not a lot of work, but it makes a world of difference in terms of perception.
On that note, if you're an artist and you're trying to figure it out, Canva, I would suggest a Canva subscription to everybody. One of the cool things that Canva also does now, I'm saying it like they pay me, and now at Canva, they resize everything. So if you have a subscription and you just, like let's say somebody gives you artwork for a show that you're on, you can just upload that to Canva, and Canva will resize it for your Facebook banner or your Twitter or everything in that one post. So yeah, though.
Cool, yeah, to add what's been said as well, what I find personally when I follow a band, what I find really annoying is if every post is like, we put a song out, listen to this shit, because, and like, we got a show, buy tickets. It's like, make sure, like, the artists I find are most fun to follow online is when, like, they may ask something of you about one time every 10 posts, and the rest is just content about what they're up to. Also, not necessarily always about their music. I love it when people post about other music, because it shows like what inspires you, what's the pool they're swimming in creatively. And next to that, I think even when something does work, you need to remain critical. Usually, like, when something goes viral, people are like, oh yeah, I did it. Yeah. And I have one artist I signed on last year whose So Far Sounds actually went viral throughout Europe. And I noticed as a booking agent, like, promoters starting to recognize the name and gives attention, but they wouldn't book them yet. And so I started talking to the artist, and they were like, well, yeah, we know the song is good, but actually we were doubting if we were ever going to release this version of it because we're not too happy with the production we got. And it was just the song did well, so and like it's a beautiful front woman, and that helps. That's just how it goes. So what we decided to do is, okay, let's release a live version of this song the way you want to do it. So we did like a proper studio live production of the song that went viral initially. And that's the one we use as a booking tool, which shows like we're not just going with the flow of what the audience is digging. No, we're going to reflect that and then put it out the way we want to put it out. And that's going to be our booking tool. That's the way we're going to present ourselves, which means the new version is recognizable because the initial version was widespread, but you put out quality content that you stand behind. And I think if you notice that there's things that are working well, but you don't necessarily feel 100%, like try to remain critical and see like, okay, how can we use that to present ourselves the way that we actually want to, and use that as a starting point from a promotional perspective.
For me, there is two type of person who can watch what your content on social media. There are public, some what you say joke about humanize what you do, what you eat, and you have professional, and the professional wants to know numbers, wants to know how many views, wants to know the quality of what you did with the video with in studio too. It's two how can I say, two different type of persons, because you have one about technical, about what you can do with your own music, and the other way you have what you can propose and what you are, who you are for the person. So it's really different. In So Far Sounds, what I found is really it's really interesting. It's that for a show, public don't know which group they will see. They don't know who they are, who they will be, where they will be, the place, and so it's about confidence and open mind. There is different type between your music. You have sort of a person who will like you more than if you did that, or so it's really difficult for an artist to I'm sorry.
You're doing great. Don't worry.
To understand at first how to do. You have to be real. It's the only way to go through all what you will pass. It's to be real and to be honest with in what you do.
Which brings me to my next question, and you being a part of So Far, which is like definitely one of my favorite way to discover artists. I love Colors as well. Yeah, Colors really is cool. One of my favorite platforms for discovering artists. The music video at one point in time, like I know when I was a kid, well, I wasn't even actually much of a kid. I don't even know if I'm allowed. This might, but when Chris Brown dropped that song, his very first song ever, I learned the choreography of that song. I was like 15 years old in my house, like jumping around. Like the music videos used to be so epic. Like when Destiny's Child dropped Survivor, and there's only 3 of them, and I'm like, Beyonce's throwing shade in this. Like, you know, there used to be these iconic moments for us when we would watch music videos, and you know, it was such a big part of, you know, digital strategy then of being on TV. Do you feel like, in your perspective industries or from where you stand at your vantage point, do you feel like music videos, like the actual video, is still an important tool?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because of the picture of what you show on the video, the color of your music. And you talked about TV. There is two different direction when for your strategy, when you want to be known. It's the independent way, or you will have an independent label with an independent touring, and you have another way. It's about radio, TV. For touring, I talk about touring to have dates, to play in front of your public. It's money, so you have to have a plugger radio to pay to pass on the playlist, the radio playlist. You have the digital ones now with Spotify, with Friday. I can't remember. It's Friday playlists. Each Music Friday. Each Friday you have like around maybe 20 or 40 tracks, and about maybe 1 million people who's following this playlist. And if you are on the beginning, the first one, you have like lots of streams all week long, and it permits for the label and for you to have money to promote to another for videos or every track.
So for the rest of you now, from the perspective of seeing whether you agree or not that music videos are important, do you all agree music videos are important? Yeah. What platforms do you think are important? IGTV just popped off. Facebook is still popping. YouTube's out here. TV's out here. Like, which platform do you feel like, you know, if you don't have a lot of resources in there, it's hard to invest in every one of them, especially now that IGTV is sized so differently than YouTube. Like, which platform would you, you know, tell an artist, like, I think you should invest in this one?
Honestly, I would always tell a new artist to invest in what's free, because as a new artist, you're limited as to what financial backing you have, and you don't want to spend your rent money on your music because then that just takes away the whole opportunity in it being fun. You want to be poor and have fun, but you don't want to be, you know, poorer than you already are wherever you are, right? So I would say my answer is twofold. I think that back to your first question, it's super important to make sure that you have videos that are more so visualizers that do talk to and echo the color of your music, and that kind of tease what the actual long-winded video would be, because then you can put that on YouTube. And YouTube has been the #1 search platform for music for about 5 years running now. It's almost debatably since it dropped, since it was available. So between the two, like making sure that you're fusing or choosing the right content, I think that's the kicker right there, or the key point where you need to make sure you're being strategic and to make sure that you're putting your visualizers and the right clips or the right moments from your long end video that goes on YouTube, but you're making sure that you're not neglecting the power of social media to tease it, to make sure that they all point, so you can make sure that you're scaling and watching all of it, right, and measuring it properly.
I love the fact that you use the word visualizers, because, you know, every time I think about a music video, I think of like Cisco's, like, I think that was one of the most expensive videos ever made, Thong to Thong Thong Thong.
The thong
it's
song.
Actually, the thong song, yeah. Yeah. It was actually one of the most expensive music videos ever made, and oftentimes as artists and creators, we think of that like, man, I don't have enough money to make a music video. But, you know, as Rachel said, you just need a visualizer, whether that's like, you know, your words bouncing up and down like a, Sesame Street song, or you just create something that's moving in some way, shape, or form. But just something that visualizes your music and your sound is really important.
Right, and to take it one step further, when we go back to being strategic and making sure we're not homeless and poor, or just anything worse than where we already identified that we are, a visualizer is a good way to tease your audience to see what they'll adapt to. You don't want to go and shoot a video that costs so much money and then you realize like, oh, my audience didn't react well to that. So making sure that you're investing time in your free resources or your resources that don't cost as much as a full-scale video, and the visualizers allow you to kind of test your market and to see what your audience either grows into or gravitates toward. Because they'll tell you in the comments, hey, when's the video dropping? Are you gonna drop the video? Or as you said earlier, you can ask, like you like interacting with bands that ask questions before, instead of spamming, buy this or watch this, you can use that moment to ask, like, hey, should we shoot a video to this? And then they'll say, nah, sis, next. Or, nah, bro, we don't like that. Then it's like, okay, cool. We're also opening up the conversation. We see our fans are interacting with us. We're saving money. We're also being strategic. And then we can make a great decision.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. And for example, some of the artists we work with in Mexico or in Latin America, or actually I work with the band from Canada, the tourist company. They are from Vancouver. We met them last year in the music market in Guadalajara, in Mexico. Sometimes the artist doesn't have the money to make videos all the time, so we create these sessions called sesiones en la facultad, like university sessions in the movie university. So we make this, we invite all the students and we put the band to perform, and the students record the session, and they give it is like the students are practicing and the musicians got the videos. So that started to work well because now all of the bands we are handling have their own videos. In Mexico, there are a lot of TV channels, not a lot, but the TV channels or music networks are still working a lot, but you don't have so much space to put your videos and you have to pay sometimes. So best option is, like she said, like doing things all the time, trying to make the fans. Because, for example, some time ago, a band comes to see me and they had like an amazing numbers, like 5 million views in in 2 videos. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never saw about, yeah. But then when I start looking at the videos, you didn't have, I think maybe 5 comments and 2 thumbs like that, And I asked to the guys who help us with the digital things that, please, can you check this band, because it's really weird. They have a lot of, and all the views came from Afghanistan or China. And I call them in the next meeting and I say, okay, let's talk about this video because you have a lot of views, but you don't have any comments or any interaction. And all the people comes from these countries. And they say, oh no, I didn't know that. That usually that when you're paying, this comes from, I don't remember which countries, but, and I say, maybe we should make a tour over there because all our fans are coming from there. I say, what?
You're like, no, you don't get it. You don't.
So finally, we didn't sign.
Yeah, and it's actually really easy. I think a lot of times before, people didn't realize how easy it was to tell the fakes. If you're not going to really have a strategy behind, if you're going to bolster your numbers, make sure you do the work to back it up. So if you're going to buy 10,000 followers, make sure you're doing work so that it makes sense for 10,000 followers.
Sometimes it's better if you make a digital campaign, you're redirecting the people to see that we do a lot of that, you are redirecting the people to see your video, but really, but if you buy these like farms, you use these like farms are, you easily see that is not true what you are seeing.
Yeah, like farms get a thumbs down, guys. From your perspective.
So I think regardless of the platform that you put your videos out on, spending your money on the content is important. So increasingly, the videos that are doing well in the UK are the ones that don't just feature a band where you're in a live studio environment being filmed live. You know, that's kind of boring. It's all well and good playing your instruments as part of the video, but have a creative concept behind it, and then make sure that concept's carried through with all of your other social media posts, whether it's the aesthetic of it or whether it's the color scheme or, you know, something along those lines. That said as well, you don't have to spend huge amounts of money to get a decent video. I think if the concept is there and you know, everyone's got a good phone these days. If you have a few of those around, they will create just as good content. If you then edit that with your sound, that's just as good as sort of spending loads and loads of money on it. Also, to increase your chances of playing festivals in the UK now, you have to submit a live link to your music. And it doesn't have to be a high-end video. It doesn't matter what platform it's on. It has to be a link of you playing live to show that regardless of what your social media numbers are, you can actually hold an audience and you can put on a live show. So if you've got 10 followers on Facebook, it doesn't matter if you've done an outstanding show and that booker likes your vibe, thinks you're going to fit the lineup. So it really depends what you're kind of aiming for. And also, this is not a UK market at all, but if you look at how the rise in K-pop has gone global so quickly, most of that is down to the high-end production of their videos, and they're all brightly coloured, well considered, and a lot of them hark back to sort of earlier bands that did the similar thing. So can you reference something that's happened before and put that sort of creativity in to sort of tell that story of where you've come from? And, you know, it's kind of subliminal messaging almost, but it gives people a really clear marker of where you've come from and why you might be where you are and where you're heading.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, well, when it comes, just going back to the initial question, yes, visual content is very important, and yes, music videos are a great way of doing that. But what I find, especially with a lot of up-and-coming bands who still feel this need to prove themselves, is that they feel obliged to do music videos. And that's where it goes wrong for me, because we've had too many bands burning guitars and playbacking on the beach, you know. It's like, it's not worth it. So what I like to do, especially when it's a growing phase with a band, okay, look, you've got your first album in this current age. Because of playlisting, you're going to do, if you have a 10-track album, you usually do between 6 and 8 singles, like a single every 8 weeks. But we think of, okay, what content fits what song before we step into the release cycle. So think, okay, which of these songs do I have creative ideas for videos, which appeal to me, which I feel comfortable with, and start there. Don't feel forced to do a video, only do one if you have a good idea for it. And then, like, what I like to do is try and create everything before you release the first single. So you know for the next year, this is going to go out. And what I often do, when it comes back to platforms like Submit Up you mentioned or whatever, is like what I like to do is put a single out every 8 weeks when growing a band, because that's usually when like the release radars, Discover Weekly algorithms go down, and every time that goes down, oh, here I am again. And once like the DSPs are picking you up and you show that frequency, you get bigger opportunities. And then what I often like to do is, okay, you start with the video, with the single, you get your first playlist and going, there's streams. Okay, then we need something else. Okay, we're going to put the video out, and we're going to put that out to blogs, because blogs need visual content to make it interesting. And that keeps the momentum of the single going. And then maybe if you're a great live band, if you're about the live show, maybe do a live version and send that out to different media. And that way stretch the attention span of one song, rather than trying to put everything out at once and feel forced to do everything with each song. No, only do what fits and try to make an entire planning so it fits your entire schedule. And it's easy as well. You can plan everything ahead and you're done for the year. It's brilliant.
It's easy. It's easy. It's so, forget this. We're done. It's so, okay, I'm messing it up. But two pieces to pick up on that. Just because you don't have a music video, always put your music on YouTube, even if it's just with artwork. As Rachel mentioned, YouTube is the number one search engine for music. It's actually the number one site every single day for searches, period, worldwide, even beyond Google. So makes sense that Google owns it, right? But besides that as well, you had said a second point. I forget off the top of my head right now. But in terms of booking yourself for a festival, when I used to manage an artist, it wasn't how many of you haven't performed yet or done a major show yet. You know, sometimes it's really hard to capture content that shows that you can actually do a really great show. A really easy fix for me would be just rent Rehearsal Factory or rehearsal space for like $10 an hour, create a set, deck it out, lights and everything, and then we would record a really high quality performance experience so that you can send it out to booking agents and people before you've even done a show. So that's like a little hack in between doing shows as well.
This is a really simple thing, but on the YouTube content that you put up, make sure you put all the tags, because if you're mistagged, you're not going to be found. It's a really quick and easy thing to do.
And when it comes to those booking assets, well, sometimes you record things of new songs that you want to properly promote later. And when it comes to those assets, you don't necessarily have to publish them. Just make sure you have them available so you can show what you're about before the world even knows.
100%. Okay, this is actually all great. Are you guys, taking at least how much time do I have left?
I left my phone up by you.
Oh, okay, cool. Happy reading your text, girl. Okay, 30 more minutes? Okay, cool. Let me look at these questions. Who has questions right now? Okay, so I want to make sure I get to you guys. Okay, cool. So, you know, physical sales versus digital sales. We kind of know that digital sales we are in agreement. Digital, I don't even know if we can call them sales really, but digital is an important space for streaming and for selling. I really want to echo everybody on Bandcamp. Bandcamp's such a huge opportunity because, you know, if I really support an artist that nobody knows about, I'll buy an album for $200 because I know that they're independent and that $200 goes a really long way, and Bandcamp really gives you the opportunity to do that and takes the least amount of money from you as an artist. So if you're on Bandcamp, if you're not on Bandcamp, get on there. I think one of the big questions that are here right now so that we can get to Q&A is in terms of a digital strategy and content. What are your specific pieces of advice for Canadian artists? Like, what are some of the things that you actually see or have experienced in terms of whether it's like looking for a Canadian artist to sign or managing, you know, your artists from Vancouver? Like, what are the gaps from your market and your vantage point in the industry and what you see happening in Canada? Yes, please. You're excited. Listen, don't disrespect us, girl.
I think that basically different territories have different time frames for things to happen in. So you might have a very succinct digital strategy for Canada, but don't expect that to translate to the UK. Things happen very, very slowly in the UK, and then they have to happen very, very quickly. So you need to be planning so far ahead. You know, I've been working with an artist since October last year. He's recorded a new album, and we're still not going to put it out until April, May, earliest next year. And that's how long it takes to plan that. So all of my strategy around that, you know, there is a strategy plan to get there, and that might even move again. So we've got sort of 2 or 3 different routes with that. You might need that for every territory that you're trying to break into, and therefore you might want to juggle what you're doing in Canada to the UK one and see where they line up. Do you want to release them at the same time, or do you want to release them at different times? Do you want to deal with it as one entity, or are you treating each territory different, and how does that then affect all your social media numbers and streams and things like that? Do you want to be on Bandcamp and then launch on Spotify? You know, there's a lot to think about. So it's almost like tackling each territory separately, then laying the kind of process over the top of each other and the timestamps, and then working out what's the best overall approach from there. Is it individual ones for each territory, or is it a collective one globally?
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. One of my first placements ever was my client and I, we wrote Rita Ora's, with Drake, we wrote the single for her when she came out with Rock Nation. And dealing with that piece of publishing in the UK was so different. The American vibe was like, your name's on it, it's cool, we'll get to it. Like, it expires, you only have so much time to do this in this territory in this way. So understanding like publishing and royalties work so different in the UK than here. Yeah.
You need to give yourself plenty of time. If you think it's going to take you 3 months, double it and then maybe add some more. Give yourself that buffer, because if you do get that contract through, whether it's a publishing contract or a record label contract or whatever, they want you to have everything in place ready to go. And if you're not ready, you'll miss that opportunity. So don't expect to release something quickly and easily. Give yourself, I'd say, a year if you're looking at an album in the UK before you even start. You know, from where you are now, give yourself a year for a release date and then expect that to get pushed. But have all that content ready by that date, ready to go.
Give yourself a year.
I'd add, if you want to just throw something out there and try it, America is the place. We have music coming out from every social media platform, every piece of the internet, from every corner of the world all the time. So if you just want to test something to see if people like it, to see if people will gravitate towards it, definitely release it in the US and then see what it does, so you can actually have the right insights and have the right everything measured out before you release outside of there.
Also, the Americans give you the comments, the mean comments.
The
honest comments.
Can I ask a question about that? Because
Sure.
I've noted over like the past 2 years that that internationally, like DSPs, especially at Spotify, won't give you.
So for everyone who doesn't know what DSP means,
DSPs basically the digital curators. You pitch towards them to get new music Fridays and all that, and get your algorithms going. They get pissed off if music is released in one part of the world and not the rest, and then you want to try and pitch it as something new somewhere else. Like usually, at least when we release from the Netherlands, if something has been released in the Netherlands before and then we go internationally, you don't get any release radar or Discover Weeklies anymore. Basically because they say, even though it hasn't been out in that part of the world, it's not new. It's been out somewhere. Have you noted that? Because you say put it out in the US as a feeler.
That's a new insight for me, honestly, because from my corner, even though our label deals globally, like the artists that I focus on are strictly from the US. So we deal domestically. So when it comes down to releasing on the West Coast versus the South, just based on our insights regionally, we will say, okay, release it in the South because, Southerners tend to like a particular style of music. And then, if it catches on there, then it should go to the Midwest. Then it'll go to the West Coast. So we have a very different experience there. Yeah. But they will kind of throw a little shade if it's, a West Coast sounding song that was released first in the South. So it's like a tension that is a double-edged sword. And you would have to plan properly based on the regional sound that you're looking towards.
There's also another consideration with that as well, that if you want to hit the New Music Friday playlist, that you have to have your music uploaded a certain number of days before with the release date ready for that. Otherwise, it won't hit those playlists. You'll miss it. And then if it's already been played for a week, you won't hit the New Music Friday playlist the following week. So working backwards from that New Music Friday, knowing how long it takes to upload and all the information that they need.
Through most aggregators, 5 weeks in advance, our assets now.
Yeah.
And pitch 4 weeks in advance. Yeah.
And even for me, when I used to manage, when I would talk to DSPs, if I knew a project was coming out like in 2 months, I would send it to my, like, whether it was the Apple or Spotify, and they'd let me know, maybe this doesn't work for me, but they might recommend me to another region somewhere else. So it's really also always, and this is why opportunities like this are dope, a lot of the music industry is building relationships so that if somebody wants to pass on you, they like you enough to pass you on to someone else instead of just passing on you altogether. So, yeah. Any other insights for Canadians that we might be missing out on? So I actually want to ask you a specific question, because my specific question is, I think a lot of times, when it comes to music, we think so often about, okay, so I think of Mexico City, I'm like, man, I don't speak Spanish, so they don't want to hear my music. Or like, I'm not Latino, they don't want to hear my music. That is such an inaccurate fact about, let's just take Mexico City, for example. Last night at dinner, I'm hearing that Mexico City is one of the most explorative musical spaces in the world. What's the highest streaming across all?
It's a number one country for Spotify, and I have the numbers there because I read.
Because you're proud, girl. Be proud. So I got the numbers there.
Actually, I was like shocked because I was like, oh my gosh. Mexico has, I think, around 30 million people only in the city and around. So
that's twice our country.
That's our whole country.
I just want to say one thing before pass to this. If you're interested in go to Latin America or Mexico, I don't know how it works in the rest of the world except in US, but it is good to make like a campaign, like a 30 seconds video that works really well in Mexico or in Colombia or in Argentina. In Instagram, for example, or in Facebook, like an EPK telling about, I don't know, reviews or something important of the band and make an awareness. That is working really good, you know. Like now coming back to Mexico, the people in Mexico, they love music. Actually, there was a Billboard released an article talking about the music in Mexico, and they are the #1 market for Spotify. And 56% of, I have the numbers I can share with you guys, of the people listening to music, from this 56% that listening to music, almost 50% consider themselves like music fans or music fanatics. So Mexico is really open to new music. But the thing is, it is like, I was talking like Mexico now is like the Hollywood for the music, for Latin America. So there are hundreds of bands touring all the year. So the key is you don't have to make the people forget about the band. So you have to be doing things all the time, like digital campaigns or media, just traveling for having some media interviews. So there are a lot of things happening there, and the market, you can have maybe the same night in the same city performing AC/DC, Metallica, and Paul McCartney, and all the shows will be sold out for 70-something thousand people.
Which is a really important piece. I think sometimes when we think about music, is like, I'm not from somewhere, so I'm not gonna do well in that market. You know, I myself being, you know, Jamaican, it's always crazy to me how many times, like, you know, I don't know, Beanie Man has gone to Japan, and like, you know, there's so many people that will come to see like a reggae show in every single country of the world, which really reminds us how powerful music is and the boundaries that it breaks down. So don't consider yourself outside of a market just because maybe you don't speak that language or it's not traditional to that country. Every single market is an opportunity for you to get. Has anybody seen Searching for Sugarman? One of my favorite music documentaries. You know, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Your music will always have an opportunity to connect with somebody in some way. So it's really important to never see any. We're living in a global world more than ever before as well with the power of the internet. So, you know, Mexico City sounds like a spot that we all need to pull up. I know it's especially here. You know, in February, if you guys are looking for somewhere to go, Gabriela, hit Gabriela up. She'll let you know.
We actually released a trailer video for Catalan's forthcoming album. So Catalan's the Northern Irish band that I manage. And his album's coming out in April, May next year. And we released this trailer with his commentary over the top, so a very strong Northern Irish accent, and all of the subtitles are in Thai. Because all of his inspiration comes from traveling around the world, and you know, he's written this album about traveling the world, and he had this real affinity with Thailand and the way the people took to his music when he was there, just playing on the guitar. So he's like, I'm putting Thai subtitles on my release video, and people watch it going, well, it's a strong Northern Irish accent. Why is there Thai subtitles on there?
Subtitles.
So people just buying into it straight away because it doesn't match. And it's, you know, the people that have responded to it are people all over the world. You know, the guys at Marauder from, you know, Marauder loved it. People in Germany, you know, China, Seoul. People are just loving it because it's so unusual.
If I can add one thing when it comes to strategy for Canadian artists as well, but I think any artist trying to conquer a different part of the world, it's like, I recently read this interview by Kevin Parker of Tame Impala, and he spoke about this concept of indie guild. Like, independent artists always feel like they should be super different and know everything themselves and be able to do everything themselves. And he said, well, really when my success with Tame Impala started is when I got rid of that. And I learned how to make poppy decisions when I wanted to, and accept that I danced to Michael Jackson as a little kid and want to implement that in my music, and fuck what other musicians think. And the same goes for asking help. Like, as a Canadian artist, you cannot know everything. You cannot know which artists' fans might like you back in the Netherlands. So I think one step that's really good is see, okay, who do we have on our team? Or who do we know personally who might know someone who might know someone who knows more about my music in that market, and help you out with, okay, which artists can we use? Well, targeting posts on Facebook and Instagram. Like, who should we refer to? Because who knows all the domestic bands around the world? And I think like accepting that help and doing that well beforehand, not a week before a tour, like make desperate calls. Who can help us? We're not reaching anybody. No, like, well, when you're planning the tour, see, okay, who might know which artists in that country we could relate to, and like do like a social media targeting strategy like that, and don't try to have your indie guild make you do everything yourself, because it's not gonna work.
And
like,
sometimes you don't even have to overthink it. I remember we used to just respond to who, if 5 people like a song on SoundCloud and they're from different places, we just respond and say, thank you for liking this song. What made you like it? When I was a music manager, first of all, I've been like 6 artists because I used to do all their inboxing stuff. But I'd be like, what made you like it? And just that like little connection, that person would be so excited to talk to this person that they like their song. They'd be like, yo, do you know who you have to meet from my city? Because you have to come here. So sometimes like we overthink wanting to meet people like this, when it's really the person that has 7 followers, who goes to all the shows, that actually knows every single promoter because they go to all the shows. You know what I mean? So it's really important for you to connect with everybody. Everybody's important when you're starting out, and that's like major key.
There's a band called the Broken Islands from Vancouver, and Stephen, who's one of the band members, was at Passport Summit in Halifax earlier on this year, and we spent a huge amount of time drinking in an Irish pub in Halifax because his flight got cancelled for 2 days, then mine got cancelled. So we just built up a really nice rapport outside of the conference, and then following on from that, he got in touch because he had some questions about some stuff in the UK, and it's now got to the point where I'm helping him book their November tour, and he's had contacts in the UK that I've sort of helped him with, and we're now talking about management as well. So just circumstantially being stuck in a pub because the flight's been cancelled has led on to a really nice working relationship and ongoing sort of international connection between us. So if you guys go into BreakOut West or any of the other sort of music industry conferences around Canada, like that's probably your best opportunity to find somebody with that domestic know-how that you can just go over WhatsApp, hey, I'm thinking of coming over in this month, is that a good idea? And you'll be like, no, because there's a big conference on there, so you're not going to get booked into any venues. That local insight can save you hours of time and stacks of money too.
100%. Augustin, France. The hardest place to get into, the hardest market. Very hard market. Like, even here in Canada, like Quebec, like, people in Quebec only deal with people in Quebec. Like, it's very French. They only like their own stuff. So how do we break into that market?
It depends on the artist, if he's singing in French or in English. If electronic music, we have lots of good French artists from electronic music, and you can go everywhere. But when it's francophone, it's Belgium, Quebec, Acadia, and France, Switzerland, and it's really really short territory. I think it's about, we talked about this earlier, it's about the message. If it's only the melody, the music, or if it's a vocal message, so about the songwriting. So if it's French, it's like hip-hop. In France, all the rapper who rap in French have a message for francophone, for the French person. So if you're not French, if you don't understand French, you don't get it. So you're not the public adapted. For electronic music, you can travel, you can go everywhere. It's the same feeling because it's the story about the music. Only that. We talked about Barbagalo because you worked with him, and you work with him, and he's singing in French, but it's not about his songwriting. It's about all the melody and harmony he put in there, and that's the credibility and the way it works at the international. But after that, you all say it's about visibility. It's about what do you do? You exist. You have to show that you exist to your public, to the professional, to everybody. That to make links and collaborate. You help, he helps, everybody help everybody, because we are in music. We love music. If it's poor and have fun. so everybody wants to help. As we will be helped if I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
And on
If
that
I-
and
if
on
I
that
can-
note, we're gonna one last question before we go to Q&A. You hit it on the nose. You have to show that you exist. I love that you said that. From each of your markets, somebody that you've seen use digital really well to show that they exist. One person, very quickly. Then we're gonna go to Q&A. You guys are all thinking so hard.
I'll give the negative example. We have one artist who blew up in the Netherlands called Dotan, and he had a huge scandal last year because they found out he had like an army of fake accounts responding to all his stuff, and even it went up to the level of people telling personal stories about a kid having cancer and him visiting them in the hospital, even though that never happened. And you must imagine, and he bought so many followers, and when that got out, he sold out 15,000 tickets on his headline before that. And now he announced his first tour since then, and he can't sell more than 1,000 tickets anywhere. And that's what it shows when you get dragged along, especially if no matter what management or labels or whoever tells you, if you're not sincere and it comes out, fans won't believe you anymore. and
Whoever
you're-
tells you to visit people for fake at a hospital, sue them.
Yeah.
That
No,
is Rookz's advice.
But it's like
Rookz's real advice. Sue
no
them.
matter how good the music is, if you're not sincere and it turns out you've been lying to people, you can create whatever you want. People are not going to show up anymore.
Okay.
It's done.
Cool. So one person that's shown that they've existed from each market. You got to think of one person still. Thanks, Simeon. Just one person. One person. So go ahead.
An example in my country for one person who did a good.
That's doing it great.
That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Who has one?
Yeah.
I have one.
Okay.
Oh, Jacques, go ahead. I
Jacques,
love
go ahead.
listening to your responses, honestly.
There's a band called Black Peaks.
Black
That-
Peaks.
Black Peaks that have played now some really big shows. I happen to know the band really well, so I think that does add an element to their social media for me because I know the people behind it. But I think because of that, there is that right mix of that professionalism you were talking about earlier with their campaigns that are really well curated, really well delivered, aesthetically pleasing, really considered. But then there's also the real life stuff. You know, there's Liam, who's the drummer, who's mucking about on a skateboard and falling over and swearing and losing his cool because he's fallen off it. And you know, them tired on a tour bus and pissed off with each other because they've got cabin fever from being on the road for so long. So you see like the two extremes, but it's all part of their story, and it makes you feel like you know every bit of what they're doing to get to where they are. So when you then go and see them live, I think that enhances their overall performance because you've kind of seen some of the hardship for them to get there, but you've also seen how creative they are and how cool that they are with engaging with people. And they do respond to so many people with liking their posts or responding, you know, they contact people with using their names as well, you know, and then they follow through with that. It shows that they will be on the merch stand rather than just having a merch seller there, which they may have as well, but they're there to sign things and talk to people. So their social media accounts is also true to how they are as people as far as those two things can be similarly aligned.
Amazing. So you guys are going to look them up? What are their... No, first of all, what was the name? Okay, good job. Thank you. They owe me a little PR money. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. We'll split the check. We'll split the check. Gabriela, you go ahead. Oh.
Okay, so Lil Nas X, are you all familiar with him? Okay, yeah, took that horse to the Old Town Road, okay? So in America, hands down, that's who has garnered the utmost amount of visibility by utilizing Instagram and Twitter to take a song that was honestly just something he did as a joke, and he started trolling artists about getting on it, and then it picked up from there, and then an internationally known charting company, once it actually did begin to chart publicly and break barriers, they kind of, you know, downcast it a little bit. They were like, oh, this isn't country, just because when you think in America, when you think of country music, you don't think of a young African-American male. You don't think that off rip. you listen to it and you have fun, but those aren't the types of people that frequent going to shows like that or listening to, radio syndications like that. So at that point, he continued to troll. The internet went completely bananas, supported it, and he got a feature from Billy Ray Cyrus, which automatically made it country iconic rather than just country. So, he's definitely killing it. He's touring worldwide, and, he's definitely, an artist that's from my hometown that we love to watch and support.
They bought that beat for that song from a Dutch 19-year-old guy who made it in his attic, and they bought it for $30.
That does not surprise me. Because Trap
That's
Queen,
how much of a joke it was.
Fetty Wap's Trap Queen came from somewhere around your neighborhood as well. So,
Actually, a lot of music in urban comes from some random Dutch country. So I'll be like, this is the sickest beat. They'll be like, this 11-year-old in the Netherlands made. I'm like, he's sick, bro. He's sick. Bring him here. Tell his mom to bring him right now.
Beatstars.com. Those are, you can always find an internationally unknown producer that has some flames that they're willing to just sell for from $5 to $500. Sometimes a little more, but definitely look them up because you'll find some hidden gems and build rapport, again, internationally with different producers that you can just continue to work with outside of just buying that 1 or 2 beats from them.
Which goes back to make sure that people know you exist. Thank everybody on this panel. A loud round of applause. Thank you. I have also learned a lot. We are going to open it up to some Q&A. I hope everybody here takes advantage of the opportunity to present the question that's actually challenging. Because I know if I had to pay any one of these to consult with them, probably be. So don't stand up and be like, my song, don't do the shameless plug. It's shameful today, okay? It's not shameless, it's shameful. Actually ask a meaningful question. Oh, yes.
First of all, thank you very much for doing this. I'm really, really, really bad at meeting new people, so but I do really appreciate it, and I learned a lot today. But my question is, when you start to build that actual package, when you have some videos and you have say 4 or 5 mastered songs, you have a folder full of demos, you have the promos done, you have everything. Is there a way to utilize social media in a way that you would like an EPK? With actual labels, is there are DMs cool? Can you do that? Is there a way to actually streamline the idea, send them a SoundCloud playlist and a playlist with videos, a Dropbox, whatever that is? Can you use social media to do that? Because in a lot of these websites, when you're trying to get placed, when you're trying to just be seen by anyone, it's a lot, you get a lot of, no solicitation, and they won't take you seriously at all. If you send it yourself, it has to come from a name that they trust, and it just seems like this big kind of, I don't know if I should say circle jerk, but it does seem that way. So
One of my bands put out a single called Social Media.
She's like, do I say it? Bam, said it anyway, foot into mouth. But do you have any advice for me?
Oh yeah, I get. Well, I just said one of my bands put out a single called Social Media Circle Jerk last week, so I know what you're talking about.
Research girl.
No, but I get a lot of those, and on average, even though I'm a small company, and I get on average about between 3 and 5 bands a day that pitch to me about collaborating, and when it comes through social media, it's don't send me a friend request first if I don't know you, because I get loads of those. But what you can do is shoot me a DM, yeah. And if I don't respond to it, email and say, hey, I shot you a DM. Feel free to stand behind what you do. But don't start with the 4-page introduction, because I'm not going to read all of it. But what a lot of bands do as well, it's hey, I'm a musician, can I send you some stuff? And I'm like, yeah, that's how this industry works, of course you can. But but they don't mention where they're from, what band they play in. They don't send any music on the first message. Or they send such a long message that I'm tired of reading it halfway. So make sure it's essential. It's if you send me a DM on social media, that's fine, but make it brief. Say, hey, I'm this person. I think you'll like my music because of this reason, which is really nice that you show that you've investigated the company. And this is the latest thing we've been working on. Do you want to give it a listen? just one link. That's it. And then I'll respond. I'll give it a listen and say, hey, this is not for me, or this might be, and shoot me an email with more info. Feel free to. But it's like people try to either be brief or long and try to find the in-between way to pique my interest without tiring me out. Like
So what I do for that through Ubiqu Live is that we have an artist page for each artist that's password protected. So I will send that same sort of brief email, you know, who I am, the introduction to the artist, then a link to the music, then a link to, if you want more information, please go to this link, put in this password, where you can find full tour schedules, high-res photos to download, further music, anything you kind of need, basically. So if they have that interest, they can then go and find more information without having to have too many back and forths. I'll chase it once. If I don't hear anything, I kind of leave it be. But I also try and encourage the bands to do things that will attract the right sort of people to go and check out their social media profiles. So you can also see who's already following you as a band. If they're already following you, chances are they're a good bet to send a DM to. If they're not, chances are they're not going to pick it up.
The link depends on the profile of the person you contact. If it's a label, you can, and you want to work with a label, you can have only it's called demo, like maquette, friend. If it's like for touring, like a link, a live link, it's cool. If you are too far away from the person, or you can invite him to your show, it's great too. Or even for a programmer, you have a video live video. It's really really interesting for.
And one thing I wish I didn't have to say, but unfortunately it gets proven over and over again that I need to. If you do not write my first name or misspell it, I'm likely not to respond. It's like, it's the most minimal thing you can do to make it a personal connection. I get so many, hey, comma, here, I copy pasted something for you emails. That it's, come on, you can do the effort.
Last piece, I get about, just like Simeon, I probably get like 20, 30 people who send me songs a day. I have 800 unread text messages and even more emails of just people who send me or find my number. But life hack, when people hit me up and they're like, so for example, if right now you left and you're like, you know what, rookz, when you said that thing today, it touched my heart, and I left and I went home and I contemplated. If you send me a message like that, I'm like, damn. How could you ignore it? Like, you know, when you really, like, how am I gonna, you really changed my life today, rookz. I just wanted to tell you that. Listen to this song. Then I'm like, damn it, bro. And but it's a real hack. Like, anybody who's ever sent me a message or watched one of my interviews, they don't even talk about what they do yet. They just talk to me about me, and this might be the Leo in me. I don't know, maybe it's a little, but it really makes me feel like I owe that person something. And I think for everybody who's sitting up here, we get so many messages, and it's not about whether your music is good or bad. It's just that you're so busy and there's so many messages and you have your own things in front of you. I think that it's really important to sometimes remember that person, making that connection just with them regardless, because I might not like your music, but I just might like you so much that I send it. So it's never, I think, inappropriate or appropriate. I think it's just in general, you wouldn't walk up to a stranger and be like, yo, can I borrow your jacket? That's what a DM asking for your music is, you know? Be like, yo, I like that jacket, I'm so cold. You know, like, go that route, go that route. Are there any other questions?
From an A&R's perspective, and I have a lot of colleagues that do a similar job in a different building, so I feel like I speak for all of us when I say this. When we are on Instagram or just on social media, 8 times out of 10, we're not on there for work. We're doing our lives. We're showcasing our lifestyle, trying to network with whoever else that we want to be like, or whoever leads something forefront in a different passion outside of music. Follow that person, get to know that person through social media. Not necessarily stalk them, but watch them, because you might find out that they put out content that you just really do not like. They might tweet something that's adverse that shows that they're an asshole and y'all have nothing in common. So just sit back, watch them, see what they like, see what other people interact. Like, if you comment on one of my photos and say, yes, girl, or oh, that dress is cute, I'm gonna be like, thanks, girl, just because that's genuinely the type of person that I am. And then if you hit me a week later and say, hey, can you check your DM? I sent you something, whatever. I'm like, okay, yeah, I remember that lipstick because it was bomb. Her glasses were cute. And, you know, she's interacting with me in a real way as a human. So from there, just, you know, at our bare minimum, we can connect as humans that have something in common. Thank you so much.
So, we're wrapping up. Who didn't put their hand up that's in deep regret right now? I'm kidding. There's another session after this. But to wrap up, you know, I think so often as human beings, we're always trying to find the thing outside of ourselves or the people outside of our network, when actually everything we need is right here. I'm always very excited to fly into Winnipeg. What you guys are doing in the music community, Elise, you know, Elise is here every day, but she has all of our emails. So this is actually the most important person that you actually need to know. And I think sometimes we overlook that when we're in our own spaces. One of my favorite biblical verses is that a man cannot be a prophet in his own city. But it's mainly because we don't value the people that are around us already. And if I can leave you with anything that resonates, is every single thing you need is around you, or you wouldn't even know that you need it, right? And so work amongst each other. I'm pretty sure every single person in this room can add value to each other. And that's like the biggest piece for me as a Canadian. I'm a proud Canadian. I think I'm the only one on this panel. Red and white, right, guys? Okay, but you know, it's been such a challenging journey for myself as a music exec to move through this space. You know, saying music exec in Canada feels weird because I'm like, exec of what? You know, but the fact of the matter is like, you can build something, you can start something exactly where you're at. And that mindset is what propels you into these markets and to meet these people. So kudos to every single one of you for showing up today, because lots of people aren't here, right? So go out, take that information, apply it, but most of all, share it, because you got it, you owe it to somebody else. Thank you for coming today.